whatever we targeted, are we there or are we not there? Because that is very, very important. Because for me, results are important. You guys have invested, so I want to understand, was it worth, and where are we today standing at the 11th week of our session, where we are standing right now. So we have Heena here with us from Norway. So Heena, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, my name is Heena, and by qualification, I'm an engineer, and I've been working for the past 16 years. I started my career with manufacturing and then later moved to oil and gas. So currently I'm based in Norway. I've been living here for the past 8 years.
So total, how many years of experience you have?
16.
16 years. All right. So you're part of this workshop, Effective Communication Skill Workshop. So
yes.
What was the expectation when you enrolled for this workshop? What was the expectation?
Yeah, well, usually about effective communication, when we talk about, usually we think that it's, like having a very good English, or, using big jargons and all those things. But when I enrolled myself for this workshop, there were a few things where I wanted to, improve in terms of the communication. In my personal life, I wanted, the communication to be more open and not like going into the blaming mode. In my professional life as well, I wanted an opportunity to use communication as a growth, because I've been working for 16 years. I have changed my roles a couple of times. But last year I was feeling that I need some push and I need some change, so that was one thing which I wanted to improve on.
I remember when you enrolled for this workshop, you were having tough time to communicate with the manager because of the cultural difference, obviously. So you were not able to put across the point so that he can understand. And where are you standing today after this workshop? Are you in that state where you are able to communicate? What happened to you, that problem?
Yeah, there were various things, so I've been working in supply chain last year in oil and gas industry, and I was working there for 7 years. And after so long, if you don't see a growth, then obviously there are some differences and everything. So that was one reason. And I think the communication workshop gave me a lot of openings and awareness to work on myself and take some steps from my side to make sure that I am growing, So, I mean, I have taken some steps in my professional life and I have changed some roles. So, what I was doing last year, I have completely moved to another role this year.
That's nice.
So that was a very big positive change for me professionally. That it's a complete new role what I'm working on, and my manager, the manager is new, but the communication is very nice. Also because I know a lot of things which we gone through in the communication workshop as well.
All right. So in your personal front also, because now you're married for more than 10 years, so many times what happens that communication, always there will be a gap to the different perspective, and you are also mother of a kid. So in that front, what all the improvements happened after going through the workshop? Where were you seeing your communication gaps, which you came to know after this? Many times we are even not aware. So you got certain awareness, and what did you improve in that area?
Yeah, well, in personal life also, dealing even with my daughter. So there are so many communication pointers which were suggested, and the good point was that we were asked to think of a story or of some experience where we can connect ourselves. So that was a very good examples where we can go back and see and relate ourselves with the with the methodology or with the things what we are teaching. So in that sense, it's a very good, because we feel the connection. So then it's more good communication even with my husband or with my daughter.
All right. So if you have to summarize 2 or 3 most important, if somebody has to enroll this workshop, what would be your 2 or 3 takeaways? Why should they enroll? What they can expect from this?
The best thing of the workshop, there were quite a lot of things. But when we started the workshop, we started with personality test. That was one of the most amazing thing, because that gave me the clarification and clarity in terms of understanding myself. Because sometimes, a lot of times when we go for interviews, we have asked that what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and we usually have general answers for that. But in reality, the personalities can be very different in personal side and in professional side. And the personality test actually gave a very good clarity in terms of my individual personality, and what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses. And it also gave the awareness to understand the personality of other person, even though the person hasn't taken their test. But since we have the knowledge of the different personality traits, we can say that the other person is more of this personality. So how our communication should be with that person? I mean, if the person is more direct, or that person or if that person is a little subtle, and probably he's a little sensitive. So in that sense, if I have the awareness, I can frame my communication in that way. So I think that is one very good thing. The other thing was about the human needs, which I was not completely aware of. So that was very good thing, I mean, things which give us happiness, or things or the factors which give us the fulfillment. So that was another very good thing to be aware of, and to understand and follow in the practical life.
One more last question. We also had a section of conflict handling. We almost
Yes.
in 2 or 3 sessions on that area. What would you? I mean, how did it help you in that area once you went gone through the conflict handling cycle, and when you understood this process? What was the biggest Wow, this was something which I never knew. And when you applied, what did you got out of it? Because this is one area which all of us struggle. We are not able to communicate, and we are always a fear of some other person will not understand us. Because of that, we don't communicate, and if we communicate, we end up fighting. So what was what would you say about that? Because I have recently learned about it. So if you can throw some light.
Yeah, for conflict management, I think the best part was, usually when we always talk about conflict management, I think it's like, who is going to win? Is it me, or is it you? Is it the So the best thing, the first thing, and I think the best thing was that whenever we are talking or dealing with any conflict, we should never go in a blaming mode. So the objective is not that whose fault it is. So I think that was the best thing.
So were you able to apply it? If I ask you the application point of view, I'm sure we all have gone through some workshops. It's not that it will be your first workshop. So how much applicability you see? Application standpoint, what do you see? Is there any scope of application, or is it a theoretical sort of thing? After going through this workshop, what would you say?
Um, in terms of application, I think we got a lot of pointers out of that workshop, which we can implement in day-to-day life, and it's totally practical, and we can apply in day-to-day life. The best part of the workshop was that we had too many examples from the real life, so it was not like hypothetical. So you shared a lot of stories from your own life. Even we were asked to think about stories which we can connect and see. So I remember you asked us to think of a situation where we have been challenges, and then where we have implemented, and then later on improve the communication. And we also shared, and even the other participants shared their experiences. So I think that was very good, because it was like, it was not theoretical, but it was more of like give and take sort of exercise, where we learn from each and everyone.
Absolutely. Great. I can see a lot of changes in you, and I can see your growth. Keep growing, and let's go for the next workshop. It's so nice. So happy to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.